Dobry wieczór, and Sarash Disvom. This is the skating lesson, and this is your update on Russian drama. For those of you who are new here, please subscribe below and be sure to smash that like button. Well, every year Russian Nationals is a gift to figure skating fans around the world. And this year, Russians gave us more drama than we could ever imagine. And they also gave us gaslighting in supreme forms. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation in which a person seeks to sow seeds of doubt in a targeted individual or in members of a targeted group, making them question their own memory, perception, and sanity. And while Russians certainly deserve gold medals in figure skating for their quad jumps, their leaders and coaches deserve gold medals for gaslighting. Russian President Vladimir Putin condemned the recent decision by the World Anti-Doping Agency to impose a 4-year ban on the country, stressing that it's just a way to neutralize the strong competitors from Russia. Talking at the annual year-end press conference with media, Putin said the WADA restrictions contradict the Olympic Charter and create obstacles to the development of sports by not allowing athletes from Russia to take part in international sporting events. We have young girls in women's figure skating. They are still kids, Putin said, referring to the Russian figure skaters who have been dominating the sport. Do they have any connection to doping? Absolutely not. They are landing quadruple jumps, something that practically no other skaters are able to do in women's skating. So now it's possible to disqualify them, to get them off the ice. Do you think it will help to develop the sport? I don't think so. Putin went on to say that the WADA decision was unfair and contrary to both the law and common sense. It essentially punishes Russia for a second time for the same alleged misdeeds. The sanctions are also a form of collective punishment. Our teen figure skaters can do what nobody else can do, and WADA's decision simply bars them from winning. The decision is apparently biased due to political motives. Later in the same speech, Vladimir Putin made headlines around the world when he said that the recent impeachment charges against Trump were completely made up and fabricated. Doping was also in the news last week, as Renat Laishev, the director of Sambo 70, spoke about Alina Zagitova and doping. When he was asked about Alina Zagitova's break from competing, he said it's the right decision that she's taking a break, but modern sport evolves very fast. There is new technique and various medications that help sportsmen. He was asked if the medications help stop puberty and growth. He answered, no, they enable stronger technique, energy, speed, and so on. Of course, only legal ones. In order to maintain hard training and competing without drugs, it is not possible anymore. Well, do those sound like performance-enhancing drugs to you? What are performance-enhancing drugs anyway? WADA states that performance-enhancing drugs are an important area of concern for athletes and at the foundation of why USADA and other anti-doping organizations exist. Simply put, performance-enhancing drugs have the ability or potential to drastically alter the human body and biological functions, including the ability to considerably improve athletic performance in certain instances. These drugs, however, can be extremely dangerous and in certain situations deadly. The negative effects of these drugs can have on one's body make USADA's and WADA's mission paramount as to why no athlete should ever have to consider performance-enhancing drug use to succeed in sport. Well, if something that is to be taken to enable stronger technique, energy, speed, and so on is not considered performance-enhancing, what really is? One only has to wonder, is this a true case of something being vitamins, or is this a case of chemists and WADA being in a race against each other and time? It reminds me of when Karolina Kostner's boyfriend was in trouble for doping. My coach at the time told me that all athletes dope, especially those involved in distance sports. Later, when the Russians were accused of taking meldonium and using it for performance-enhancing reasons, my coach later told me that it was a blood vessel for the muscles. It's funny. I never saw meldonium as one of my drugs to take in the morning next to my B12 and my multivitamin. Also, we had a statement from Diana Davis. Diana Davis is an ice dancer who is also the daughter of Eteri Tudberidze. We first met Diana during the documentary 1+1 about Eteri Tudberidze and Evgenia Medvedeva. During that documentary, we learned that Diana suffered from third-degree sensorineural hearing loss. But recently, there was a message from Diana Davis on Instagram that said otherwise. Dear people, I'm tired of you thinking that I'm sick and that I don't have a future because of this disease and all that. So I want to tell you that I live a normal life, go to a normal school. I can hear and talk to people wonderfully. Sometimes I even hear better than the normal people. Yes, I had problems before, because for me, people didn't talk clearly, and I was shy and didn't talk to anybody. But at some moment, I have decided that I had developed my hearing. I refuse to use any devices and everything that they have offered me. I realized that I opened up more and started hearing well. I managed to adapt myself. I'd like to add, people with hearing disabilities, nothing is impossible. Don't be shy and afraid of talking to people. Develop yourself and everything will happen. There are no people with deficiencies. Well, this is interesting as the fact that we had learned that Diana has sensorineural hearing loss of the third degree. That could be considered moderately severe hearing loss. That is defined as saying that without hearing aids, speech is inaudible. Even with hearing aids, speech may be difficult to understand. Increasing the amplification doesn't always make it clearer. Even the second degree moderate hearing loss says that in addition to missing consonant sounds, vowel sounds then become more difficult to hear. People with a moderate hearing loss often comment that without hearing aids, they hear, but they don't always understand. Now, why would Diana post this on social media? Was this her own decision, or perhaps did this come from her coaches? See, Diana was just competing at the Junior Grand Prix final, where she did not achieve a good result. Given her hearing impairment, one has to wonder if her potential in the sport is somewhat limited, as she referred to in her message. Perhaps this was more of a political move as to saying that she can now hear and express music better. Igor Spielbond also spoke about Diana last week as well. He said that he cannot believe how often Eteri is able to come to the United States and work with Diana in her training. Well, that's also interesting, as Eteri is a singles coach located in Moscow, Russia, in charge of dozens of the world's top skaters, while Igor is in Michigan. Eteri is also a singles coach, and Igor is an ice dance coach. Eteri has said that she would coach Diana herself, but she doesn't have enough ice time. One also has to wonder if she doesn't necessarily have this specialized training and technique. So what do you make of all this? Is this a degree of truthiness? What is truthiness? Truthiness is the quality of seeming or being felt to be true, even if not necessarily true. Or are we merely being gaslighted? What's your take on all of this from Russia? What are these drugs that they're taking? Are these mere vitamins? Or are we in a race with WADA and chemists to see whose athlete can outwin the most? This is the skating lesson. Bye now.